everybody, Marilyn from Good Enough Quilting. How about we make this quilt? We should be able to do this quilt in 2 days. I decided I needed a cheap, fast quilt. These are made from bandanas. I'm going to say bananas. I know I'm going to say bananas, but just ignore that. I mean bandanas. You need to buy 12 bandanas from Amazon. Super cheap. This red, white, and blue bandana came in a pack of 24, so I can make 2 lap-size quilts. These quilts are pretty big lap-size quilts. I think they're like 60 by 80. They're pretty good size. Okay, so sorry I have a lozenge in my throat because I have a little scratchy cold going on right now. All right, so you buy 24 bandanas. They cost like $22. So for one quilt, it's about 11 bucks for the top. Problem is, they're polyester. They're plastic. This is the first quilt I ever quilted with polyester fabrics. Here's the deal. You can't use an iron on them. They'll melt. You can't use hot water in your washer. It'll melt. You can't use heat in your dryer. It'll melt. So when you give this away as a gift or as a charity donation, make sure you let them know that they can't use anything hot on here. It'll melt. All right, so that was the cheap front. For the backing, I bought a microfiber king-size sheet. Again, Amazon, 12 bucks. And I cut it, can you see this, Charlie?
Yep.
I cut it into 22-inch squares for the backing. So literally, the front and the backing, less than $23 for this quilt. All right. Now the bandanas come in all different colors. You don't have to make a patriotic quilt. In fact, for us today and tomorrow, I'm going to use these other bandanas I bought that are more pastel-y looking. But they have all kinds of different bandanas. All right. I wasn't sure about polyester holding up on the binding or on the sashing. Oh, let me backtrack a little bit. I decided to make, the reason I did this channel is women are just too, and men, they're just too uptight. I watched a ton of YouTubes and they're just really uptight. Good Enough Quilting channel, I don't care if my points are perfect. I don't care if I have immaculate seams. I really don't care. I'm not going to go into any juried quilt shows. None of these quilts do I want in a juried quilt show. I want them loved and cuddled under. And when I die, I want them as ragged as they can be. I want them used. So if you think this kind of quilting might be for you, join. Subscribe below and join us. All my quilts, I'm not into it. I'm not that picky-uni. All right. So going back. So this is set up for beginners. If you're an advanced and I'm like boring you out of your mind, just forward through all that. But I'm doing this for beginners. I want beginners to come into quilting knowing that we're not all persnickety perfectionists. You know, I'm perfectly imperfect, just like my quilts. All right. So, but I wasn't sure about polyester for the binding. The binding is like a narrow little piece of fabric that goes on the edge. The edge gets a lot of wear and tear on blankets, quilts. So I bought cotton fabric. I also bought cotton fabric to do sashing. We're going to do this quilt as you go method. You'll see it at QAYG. We're really into our acronyms in quilting, I guess. So it's quilt as you go. All you have to be able to do is quilt this little 22-inch block. I can do it. I know you can do it too. All right. So then I didn't want sashings. I didn't want to connect the quilt blocks in the front. So I did it on the back. I looked through a bazillion different quilt as you go sashings. This is that cotton fabric too that I bought. And I think I found the easiest, friendliest, the one I like the most. And I'll show you that tomorrow when we start putting the blocks together. All right. So you're going to need 12 bandanas. You're going to need a king-size microfiber sheet. I mean, you can use cotton for your backing, but it's going to cost a lot more. And you need 3 yards of cotton material that will show as you're binding and show on the back as your sashings. All right, so Charlie, come on over here and I'll show him what I want him to do with that. Oh, you can just sit here if you can see it. All right, so this is the cotton fabric that I bought. I bought 3 yards of cotton fabric. I want you to cut all 3 yards into 2.5-inch strips, the width of the fabric. Another acronym we use in quilting, WOF, which is width of fabric. When you buy your fabric, either online or in a store, it's going to be folded double thickness. It's going to be folded in half. Oh, my husband Charlie is the videographer. He just sat down if it was a little shaky. But anyway, so thanks, Charlie. Anyway, so yeah. So cotton fabric comes folded in half. There's a fold down here and something called a selvage up here. Selvage is just when they start to make the fabric. We're not going to sew with the selvage. You want to always get rid of those selvages, but we'll talk about that later. All right, so you've got that 3 yards long piece of fabric. The width of the fabric is, let's just say 40 inches, give or take, good enough. All right, when they cut it at the online store or they cut it at the wherever, on ground store, it might not be perfectly even. So you got to start out with an even line. That way all your 2.5-inch strips will be even too. So all you do is you take the fold of that fabric, the folded edge, you line it up on one of the lines on your cutting mat. Any line, doesn't matter. And then you square off that one edge. You just cut, you use a ruler, and you just cut through that one edge so you have a straight line. Then I want you to take that 3 yards and the whole thing gets cut up in 2.5-inch strips. That's more than you're going to need for this quilt, but you will use 2.5-inch strips. If you ever make another quilt, you'll use 2.5 all the time. So make a little bag or something for your 2.5-inch strips and just throw the extras into that bag. All right, once you've cut all that into 2.5-inch strips, I want you to make these 3 things. All right, remember me talking about binding? Binding is the fabric that goes all around the outside of the edge of the quilt. It's going to get a lot of wear and tear. And I used cotton fabric for that, for this quilt. You're going to take 8 of those 2.5-inch strips that you cut the width of the fabric, and you're going to butt the ends together. You don't have to be fancy, you don't have to do diagonals. You just butt them together and sew them together. Right sides together. You just sew them together. 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, I don't care. Good enough. Just sew them together. I want you to iron those. You're going to have a long piece of fabric to do all this. I want you to then take it, this is my binding, and I want you to fold that 2.5-inch strip in half and iron it in half. That's all you need to do for your binding. All right, here's the deal. I don't want to do the binding at the end of the quilt. At the end of the quilt, I'm done. I already have an idea for a new quilt. I've left the building, so to speak. So I make my bindings right away on my quilts. So there it is. You take 8 2.5-inch strips, you butt them together so you have a long piece, you iron it in half, and there's your binding. We're going to use this tomorrow when we put the quilt together. The next thing you need to do is from your cotton fabric, is you need to make the joining strips, these joining strips back here. You need to make these. I want you to cut 20 inches. That's all you need. Ooh, wait a minute, I have the wrong one. Wait a minute, this one. I want you to cut 20 inches. So you have a 2.5-inch strip, cut 20 inches, you fold it in half, you iron it. So then you take 2 of those 20 by 2.5-inch strips, and you sew down raw edges. The raw edges are the ones that are going to be fraying, not the folded edge, the raw edge. You sew down 1/4 inch the length of that 20-inch strip. That's all you do. We're going to need 9 of those. 9 of those, 2 things sewn together. That's it. So you cut 8. You've already cut them. We need 18 2.5 by 20 inch strips, folded in half, ironed, and then sewn down the raw edge 1/4 inch. That will be the strips to connect the squares together. Put that aside. Now we need a long strip. We need a strip that's going to go from here all the way to here. You've already cut the fabric into 2.5 inch strips because you're awesome. Same exact thing. You're going to fold them in half, iron them, and you're going to, oh, you got to butt them together. To the width of the fabric should give you enough to do this whole length. So you take, see, it's long. Could jump rope with this. All right, so you take it, you butt the ends together, you sew it together. Again, I don't care if you use 1/4 inch, whatever. Sew it together, iron it in half, and you're going to sew again 1/4 inch down the whole side, the raw edge side. That's going to give us our sashing in the back. And we only need 2 of these strips because, see, we only have 2 long rows that we're combining. Easy peasy, pumpkin breezy. All right, and you're going to put that aside. Do not worry about it raveling. I hear people worried all the time about raveling. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it if it happens. All right, so that's what we have to cut for the cotton. That's the most ironing, in fact, it's the only ironing you're going to do in this whole quilt. I apologize, I hate ironing too, but I think it's important to get those sharp edges on that. All right, you're going to need 12 bandanas. Pick out whatever 12 you want. Again, I'm using pastel bandanas for this quilt that we're making today and tomorrow. You need a backing piece. You're going to take that sheet, or cotton if you want to be more expensive, and you're going to cut 12 22 by 22 inch pieces. Here we go. Out of a king size sheet, 12 22 by 22 inch pieces. You're also going to need batting. I just used 80-20 batting because it's what I had. You can use whatever batting you want. Again, if you use polyester batting, don't iron it. Not hot, nothing hot. You need to cut 12 batting pieces, 22 by 22. And that is it. That's all the cutting we're going to do. All right. Charlie, if you'll show them this block, I'll show them how to put a block together. I figured what we would do today is show you all that. I'll put a block together. I will quilt as you go this 22 inch block, and I'll square the block off. That's it for today. Tomorrow, I'll show you how to join the blocks into rows, and I'll show you how to do the sashings on the back. All right, so Charlie, here we go. So what I've done here, you got it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you all set? Yeah. All right, so what I did here is I took one of my 22 by 22 inch pieces of the sheeting. I didn't even take off the side seams because we're going to cut that off anyway. I would cut off the 3 inch, hem at the top of the sheet. Cut that off, you don't need it. But I didn't even mess with these because I'll show you, we'll end up cutting them off anyway. Then you put that, I couldn't tell face up or face down on the sheets. So I figure if I can't tell, nobody else is going to tell. I guess you could tell by this seam, I guess, I don't know. I don't think it really matters, and it's good enough. Then you're going to put your piece of batting on top. Try to make it less wrinkly. And then you're going to put whatever scarf you want, whatever, oh, I almost said banana. Whatever bandana you want. Don't worry about these seams. I actually washed these because I wasn't sure if polyester would bleed. It doesn't bleed. The red ones didn't bleed onto the white. I threw a couple of those color catcher sheets in there. Nothing bled. I did the same thing with the backing, with the king size sheet. Nothing bled. I guess polyester doesn't bleed. All right, so here we go. I'm going to use Quilt basting adhesive. You don't have to, you just got to pin it more. You shake this up, you go pretty far away, light. You just need a light coat, light like that, nothing heavy duty. But you know what? It's like putting a decal on a car. You got to start in the center and work your way out or it'll get bubbles. Oh my gosh, I did that without any bubbles. What's the chance of that? Let's see if I can do that again. Then I fold the other side back. Same thing. Don't go heavy. Very light. You just need it temporary. Same thing. Start in the center. Smooth it out. Oh my gosh. You guys must be my lucky charm. You wouldn't believe how many times I had to reposition that on the other ones. All right. Let's just take a minute and look at this. I almost said banana. Bandana print. You could quilt this without any marking at all. I don't recommend marking polyester with any marking pens, chalk, anything. It doesn't come out, you guys. I learned. So if you're going to quilt it, why don't you just quilt it according to the pattern on here? It's already printed out for you. Why wouldn't you do that? I'm not going to do that because that's way too much quilting for me. And I got to get this done for the charity next week. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do just like I did on this. Can you see that, Charlie? I'm just going to do a wonky star. And I'm going to quilt around the border here. Same on this one. I'm going to do a wonky star. And I'm going to quilt around this border. All right, to make it easy on me and not have to mark anything, I'm going to use a pin. See how there's this design? Let's look. See this design right here? I'm just going to stick a pin in this, and that's going to be the top of my star. That's going to be my starting point. Easy to see. Then I'm going to quilt down to this corner. I'm going to put another pin in here. Oh, hey, about pins and polyester. Make sure you have a fresh needle on your machine and make sure your pins are sharp because this will run. If it runs, no big shakes, but it will run. Like it'll pull a thread and yeah, so, all right. So I'm gonna quilt from here to this point. Now there's 2 points to the start. I gotta come up here to this point. Right about here is a good place to put it. It's about 1.5 inches down from this line, and I'm going to quilt right across to this little design right here, and I'm going to put another high visibility pin. And then my last pin for quilting is going to go all the way down in this corner. That's it. I don't have to mark. I don't have to worry about my fabric being stained by my marking pens. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quilt starting here. I'm going to back stitch a little bit to hold it. I'm going to come down. I'm going to come across. I'm going to come across. I'm going to come down. I'm going to come back up and finish off with a little back stitch. Then I'm going to quilt around the edge. And that's it for this quilting. I'm going to put one more pin just to hold it together for myself in the center, just to hold it together. You know what? I'm going to put a few more pins just because I don't trust myself. Just in the corners to hold it together. And that is it. We're going to go over to the sewing machine and we're going to quilt this bad boy. I have a quilting foot, a walking quilting foot on my machine. Beginners, if you don't have one of those or you don't know how to put it on, it's a little tricky. I have another video down below that shows you how to do that. Shows you how to put on the walking quilting foot. I think you should use it. I think if you don't have one, you should buy one. But you can do it with a regular foot, I guess, but I don't recommend it. All right, Charlie, let's go over to the sewing machine and quilt this bad boy. What do you say? What do you say?
Okay.
Okay. Come on. Come on over. All right, so just like I said, I have the quilting foot on here. I'm going to start. I use just white thread. You can use whatever color thread you want. I just use white thread. We are going to start at where that red pin was, and I am going to quilt all the way down to this pin. I'm just eyeballing it because I don't want to be perfect. Perfect is boring. Again, all you perfect quilters, I love you too. All right, So I have it set at 3 length, and I have it set at kind of medium slow. If you don't have a medium slow setting or a slow setting on your machine, just quilt slow. There's no rush. All right, I'm going to do like 3 stitches. I'm going to back stitch 3 stitches again, and then I'm just going to eyeball this other pin, and I'm going to quilt straight to it. You know, don't worry about the seams that are in the bandana. Oh, I almost said bananas. Don't worry about these seams. You know, the first person I remember wearing a bandana or having one in a song was Janis Joplin. You think she worried about seams in her bandanas? I don't think so. All right, when you're getting pretty close to that, you pull that out, you eyeball it, and that's where you're going to stop your quilting and turn your sandwich. Right about there, that's good. Lift the pressure foot up, turn the sandwich. All right, so there's the one quilt from that line to that line. Now I'm going to go from that line to this one. Same idea, just eyeball it. Right to here is where I'm going. Let the quilting foot do its thing. Don't fight your walking quilting foot. There's no fighting. And the whole time I'm just eyeballing where that other pin is, because that's home. That's kind of where I want to end up. If I'm off, no big shakes. I want a wonky star anyway. I'm pretty dead on. Again, I'm going to pull that pin before I get to it. It was right here. Now I got to go across to make the top of my star. You turn the quilt. I'm going from that point to this point. Isn't that great? And you don't even have to mark it. Again, don't fight the quilting foot. Let the quilting foot do its thing. And if you've watched my other videos, you know I kind of get into the sound the machine's making. Like dun 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 dun. So that's what I'm doing. I'm getting close. I'm going to pop that pin. I'm going to get to about here-ish. Good enough. Now I got to go down to this corner. Right about there, I'm thinking. I'm actually taking more time because you guys are watching me. Oh, got to put that pressure foot down. And off we go. Again, if you want to quilt more intricate, for 80-20 quilting, 80-20 batting, you got to quilt about 8 inches apart is good. It'll work. So just quilt 8 inches apart and do some other design. I mean, you could get really intricate, and it's already printed out for you. All right, now we're going to do the last row of our quilt, last row of our star. We're just going to go back up to where we started, right here. Eyeball it. Oh, I keep forgetting to do that. Sorry, guys. There we go. It's like cars now. They remind you when you're going out of your lane. My sewing machine reminds me when I haven't like put down my pressure foot. Here's where I'm going. That's where I've been. Right to here. Oh, I'm gonna like this. This is pretty color. The red, white, and blue quilt is pretty too, especially our birthdays coming up. Our United States' 250th birthday's coming up. I get to where I joined it before, where I started. I backstitch 3 stitches. That's it. Now I'm just going to quilt along this outside edge, just to hold it down for myself. Again, 3 stitches, 3 stitches back, and I'm just going to straight quilt this down all the way around the outside of the quilt. After we do this, I'm going to take it back over to the sewing table and square this off. If you're a beginner and you've watched how to square off quilts, it's confusing as all get out and it's kind of ridiculous. However, if you square them off, it's a lot easier for your next step. So I'm going to show you, this is a good quilt to learn how to square off because it's already pretty much done for us. You pivot it and you go down this side. Don't worry if it doesn't line up, it's good enough. I don't know if I told you this, but make sure you have a sharp needle in your machine and that you're using sharp pins so it doesn't snag the polyester. So these are our prime quilting months down here. We live in Florida and it's hot as Hades right now. I do these quilts in real time, you guys. I don't like, so it's like, what is it? May 10th or something? Charlie, what date is it?
10th.
All right, May 10th. And it's like 96 degrees out there. So these are our prime quilting months. Because who wants to go out in 103-degree weather? Up north, we're from Michigan. My prime quilting months were, you know, November, December, January, February. Because who wants to go out in a foot of snow and 30 degrees below zero? So I hope to put out quite a few quilts on this channel over the next few months. And I hope you watch, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you subscribe for me. And pretty much we're almost done. That's it for quilting this. I think any beginner can do this. And if you get wild, you beginners out there, get wild and crazy, quilt more. And backstitch, that is it. That block is quilted. All right, we're gonna go back over to the cutting table and I'm gonna square this bad boy off. And then you just need to do that 12 more times, or 11 more times. And we have our top done. All righty, here we go. Come on over here. There's our quilted block. All right, and again, squaring off, they make it so freaking complicated. All you want to do is make it easier to join the blocks together. So I take this ruler. See how it has it has a 1-inch mark that's really easy for me to see? I'm going to take that 1-inch mark and I'm going to put it right on my quilt line that I just quilted. Can you see that, Charlie?
Yep.
Just like that. And then I'm just going to take my 60, I write on there so I know what size blades to buy the next time. And we're just going to cut this off. Bam, shakalaka. One part is squared up. We're going to turn this around. It doesn't even have to be lined up with any of the lines on here. All you got to do is line up that last quilt line with your 1-inch mark on this. And that's why we didn't have to do anything with this. We didn't have to take this this edging off or anything on the bandanas. I almost said bananas. So far, I have not said bananas once. I mean, in reference to the quilt. Square this line up. Halfway done. Then, like I said, all you got to do this 12 times. I'm going to do it 11 more times today so that I can do it with you tomorrow. Plus, I kind of have a deadline for the charity event thing. And then the last one, line it up 1 inch. We're going to cut that bad boy right off of there. And we have a pretty square block to sew together. Ta-da! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da! There's our first block. See, there's the quilting on the back. A star, wonky, just the way I like it. And that's it. All right, guys. So I'm gonna make 11 more of these bad boys today. I'm going to take some Dayquil and maybe a few more lozenges for this cold. And then tomorrow, I'll show you how to put them together with the sashings that we already cut out from our cotton fabric. I hope you enjoy this quilt. I hope you enjoy this channel. I hope you enjoy quilting. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.